Hi, this caricature is of Alfred Hitchcock, and he is a film director, and he does a lot of, I think, horror and things like that. From what I read from Wikipedia, I'm going to walk you through what I did, or at least from what I remember, what was going on in my mind at the time as I was drawing this. As you can see, I'm drawing him like Humpty Dumpty there, because that's how he looks like when I was looking at his face, and I was watching a video of him being interviewed, and I just wanted to put him sitting in this tiny chair at first, in this like director's chair. I just couldn't figure out how to do it. I gave up real quick on that, as you can see, and I went back to drawing his face. I'm drawing it in different ways, kind of bubbly, and this might be the third or second. No, I think this is the third little thumbnail, and this is the one I'm going to stay with. So I kind of slowed it down so you can see. So I'm right now I try to draw the overall face first, like an overall shape. Sometimes I just start with the feature, and in this case, in the first few sketches, I was kind of starting off with the bottom lip because that kind of stuck out in my mind as I was drawing him. But I'm doing like a profile caricature of him. I'm just feel more comfortable doing that. So as you can see, I started off with the nose, and the reason I drew it that long is because I usually prepare. You have to do that to make preparation for the lips and things like that. But he didn't have a real long nose, so I kind of shrunk it back. And what I mean by preparation is when you're doing a long nose like that, a profile, it's usually because you're gonna have a really projected or thrust. You're gonna have I guess big lips coming out, thrusting out forward. Because if you leave that nose inward, or if you bring it down like it is in the picture, see how it goes down. If I were to draw that nose down and then I brought the lips out, if he had big lips, for example, then it wouldn't flow right. The overall caricature wouldn't look right or wouldn't feel right. So if you're gonna make the lips come out and protrude outward, like I did the bottom lip, you have to follow up with the other features. The other features have to kind of follow in that formula. They have to go along with the flow. So that's why I drew his nose kind of going upward. So anyways, that's the kind of concept or theory behind the nose that's kind of coming upward. As you can see, the reference picture and all the other ones that I had, his nose went downward. It went straight down. So why am I drawing the nose kind of upward or going up in that direction? Again, it's to make way, or it's to kind of follow the flow of the caricature, if you will. So if the bottom lip is going out, like I'm going to be drawing it in a little bit, it's going outward. You kind of have to make all the other features go in that direction. Of course, you have to, if the nose has a dent, you have to draw the dent, but the overall feature, like the nose, it all has to be going in that direction. I don't know if that makes sense. Now that works with my style, it might not work with everyone's style, so I have to kind of say that. Because if you try that with your style, it just might not work. But with my style, it seems to work because if I don't do that, if I don't follow up with those other features, with the other features going along with the other ones, it doesn't flow right. Like at the end, when you look at it, it seems like something's missing, something's out of place, and of course everything's out of place if it's a caricature. But it feels right when you do that, when you bring along the other features with that. So like if my main feature I want to capture is the bottom lip, and it's the one that is really sticking outward, then all the other features have to follow in that direction. So you see the bottom lip there? All the other features are kind of pointing. If you draw like a line across, everything should match. The forehead, the nose, the top lip, and it should all match up together. And then once the bottom lip ends, you know, you can go downward. You go over that chin, and it has that other double chin. I gave him another a triple chin, I guess. But so that little ball there, that's supposed to be his chin, and then you have the double chin, and then I added just another one. He actually doesn't have that other one, but that's just how I exaggerate. Now, there's different exaggerations. You can exaggerate the double chin by making it larger, and I chose to do the other way, which is to just give him another chin. Of course, I did exaggerate a little bit on it. I did make it larger, but I just chose to give him like a third chin. So that's just another idea. So if let's say you're drawing a girl and she has like really long eyelashes and there's a bunch of them, you can either make them thick. You can add more eyelashes, things like that. So that you can just, instead of making things bigger or thicker, you can also add to the number of it. So, and that I used that with the triple chin or the double chin. I just added another chin. That's all I did. With the body, in a little bit, you're going to see me doing something. I'm going to be trying different bodies, and but right now I'm just adding the shading, as you can see. I'm adding all the shading and all the different shadows and where they're going to be going. See the back part? He has like this hump a little bit, but I just took it out. You're going to see me erase it. There I go, erasing it there. And I go straight down. I started looking at the other pictures I had on my screen. I had them sitting down. I had a what do you call that? Like a screen freeze, I guess, or a screenshot that I took from a video. And it's kind of like a quarter view from the back end a little bit. And as he sat, he has this real flat back end, like his not back end, but the back of his head is real flat and straight. It doesn't round off or anything; it just goes straight. So I figured I'd follow that straight all the way down to his body. It might feel better, or it might look more like him if I did that. So that's what I did. The bottom lip, I was changing it up there, as you can see. I tried 3 or 4 different versions of it. I did change the eye a little bit too later on. One thing I learned, I tried something brand new. I did this caricature, this watercolor caricature. I did it on what's called a illustration board. It's a thick board. I have no idea what kind it is, but it's just a thick board. And I was gonna try the watercoloring. Big mistake. I'll never do that again. So it just looked really messy, real blotchy, like if I was watercoloring on like a thick, I don't know, like a toilet paper or something. It didn't look crisp. You know, when you're doing watercolor on like watercolor paper, it looks real crisp, and like on the outer edges of the color, like if you're dropping a big blob of it, the outer edges, they look real crisp, and sometimes they're dark and they fade out and they look nice. But on this, it just like soaked in the paper. It was a real thick board, and I didn't even think it would bend, but it actually did bend. It's super thin. I'm bending it now. You can hear it. But it didn't work well. It looked too messy. It worked out with the sky. It made the sky look like kind of hazy. It made the ground look kind of weird too, but it just didn't look good with the skin. It didn't look right. It just, I don't know. I kept wanting to start over. It seemed, and I usually have that feel, but I thought it would go away, but I really wanted to start over, even when I was almost finished. So what I did is I ended up adding tons of Prismacolor on top. Now Prismacolor is like a wax pencil, and it blends really good. So I ended up adding all the Prismacolor on top of the watercolor, and I'll show you that like towards the end. But I did that as the video was uploading, so you didn't get to see that. But see that in the cheek area? Like already it's starting to tear that paper on the bottom part of that cheek there. And towards the end, it starts giving me more problems, and I start to kind of try to peel it away. I don't know if you ever had that happen to you where the paper tears. It's horrible because the watercolor, the ink, it's attracted by that. Like the watercolor goes inside that that tear, and it has like a really dark spot, and it just gets in the way. I mean, if it's like in the hair or somewhere that you can't really tell the background, it's not a big deal. But it was right there on the cheek, so I added just a bunch of Prismacolor on top of it. But it was just a bad decision as far as watercoloring on top, or using the illustration board to do watercolor. So I wouldn't recommend you use a illustration board. Just stick with watercolor paper, the thickest one you can, if you're doing watercolor. That's what I'm going to do next. But the acrylic works good with illustration board. It works good with canvas and things like that too. But yeah, no watercolor for the illustration board. Bad idea. So I'm doing all the shadows, and that reference picture that you see in the video, that's what I'm going by when I color. So I used it. It was on my screen when I was doing the sketching, but I was just looking at the video most of the time. I was just looking at the video. But that's the reference now that I have blown up. I'm just using that just to follow the shadings or the shadows on the face, and things like that. As you can tell there, the body, I changed it up at I had left the house and I came back, but as I was gone, I was thinking about the body, and I was thinking how he's actually kind of round and his feet kind of taper off. So that's what you saw me do earlier. I just made the legs go in, or I made the body taper inward. When I got back home, I changed that up. So there I am. I added the cigar too. I didn't have that in my sketch. I didn't really want to add it. But then there was like room, and I had extra space on the background, so I decided to add the cigar and the birds. There I did some watercoloring. There I am watercoloring the background. What I'm doing first is adding a bunch of water and letting the water, of course the face of Hitchcock is completely dry. So I made sure that was dry, and then I added a bunch of just water, letting the paper absorb it, and then I added on top of that, as it was still wet, I added all the ink. I got my blues, and I added some like gray or black, and I darkened it, and I'm just kind of dabbing the inks on top of the water. So I did the same thing with the red on the floor. I added all the water, and then I added the ink on top of it. It just kind of looks kind of messy. I purposely did that, so it just looks messy. And of course, if you can tell, see that floor, the ground looks kind of blotchy. I don't know if you can see that, but I surely could. And that's how it looks on the face, and it's really bad. That's exactly how it looks, and it doesn't look too good. So that's why I added all the Prismacolor on top of it. So you'll see that in a little bit. But there I am trying to fix it up, and it's just, at this point I'm still trying to figure out how I'm gonna fix this. And there I am having problems with that little dent again, and or the little tear, and I'm trying to cut off the paper right there, and it did come off a little bit, but I was still having a problem. At this point, I'm trying to figure out how I'm gonna fix all this in my mind. I'm either thinking I'm gonna color over everything with acrylic, or I'm going to just add the Prismacolors on top of everything. The birds are pretty fun. Just added a bunch of broken wings on everything. That's how the pictures showed, at least. I watched the video a long time ago when I was a kid, so I kind of remember the birds. They look kind of grungy, or like they had just been in an oil bath or something. But I'm adding all the watercoloring still to the suit and everything. And I do use the hair dryer just to kind of dry off everything. Let me see. There is the finished work, and I did all the squiggly lines in the cheeks with like a purple, and then a red, and then like a hot pink. So everything, even all the beige and the neck, that's all blended. It's all like Prismacolor on top of the watercolor. That's why it looks so smooth like that. So anyways, it's all Prismacolor on top, and hope you enjoyed it.